Nuclear weapons myths many believe. Introduction. Nuclear weapons are one of the most frightening topics in human history. A huge number of myths have emerged around them, thanks to films, games, rumors, and theories. Some people believe that a single missile can destroy the entire planet. Others are convinced that it's impossible to survive an explosion. Some believe that modern defense systems can completely stop a nuclear war, while others believe that humanity has been seconds away from total annihilation dozens of times. The reality is much more complex. Some myths emerged during the Cold War when the fear of nuclear conflict was immense. People built bunkers, schools taught people to hide under their desks, and television constantly talked about the possibility of global war. Other myths emerged later thanks to the internet, disaster movies, and conspiracy theories. Today, we'll examine the most famous myths about nuclear weapons and determine which are true and which are grossly exaggerated. Myth 1. One nuclear bomb will destroy the entire planet. This is probably the most popular myth. Many films depict a single massive bomb as capable of literally shattering the Earth or turning it into a fireball. But in reality, even the most powerful nuclear weapons are incapable of physically destroying the planet. Yes, the consequences would be horrific. Massive destruction, millions of deaths, fires, radiation, climate impacts. But the Earth itself has experienced events far more powerful. For example, the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs was many times more powerful than all of humanity's nuclear arsenals combined. The most powerful bomb in history was the Soviet Tsar Bomba. It was tested in 1961. The explosion was so powerful that the shock waves circled the Earth several times. The mushroom cloud rose almost 70 kilometers. Windows were blown out hundreds of kilometers away. It was after such tests that people began to believe that humanity had created a doomsday weapon. But the real danger of nuclear weapons is not the destruction of the planet as an object. The main danger is the destruction of civilization. Myth 2. It's impossible to survive a nuclear explosion. Many people think that if a nuclear bomb explodes nearby, there's no chance at all. In reality, everything depends on distance, the power of the bomb, the presence of shelter, the time spent in the contaminated area. During the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, tens of thousands of people did die immediately, but many survived even relatively close to the epicenter. Some were saved because they were behind concrete walls, they were in basements, they were hidden by the terrain. They quickly left the danger zone. There's a myth that after an explosion, everything immediately turns into a completely dead zone. But this isn't entirely true. Even in the most dire scenarios, there are still areas where survival is possible. Myth 3. Radiation acts like an instant poison. Because of movies, many people imagine radiation as something magical. A person simply looks at a glowing object and dies a second later. In reality, radiation is more complex. Very high doses are indeed deadly, but the consequences depend on the strength of the radiation, the duration of exposure, the type of radiation, the body's defenses. Sometimes symptoms don't appear immediately. After severe radiation exposure, a person may initially feel normal, but deterioration will begin later. This is why radiation is so frightening. It's invisible. It can't be felt like heat or a shock wave. After the Chernobyl disaster, many didn't even understand the level of danger. People walked calmly down the streets while radioactive particles were already spreading around. Myth 4. After the explosion, the area remains dangerous for thousands of years. This myth is partially based on truth. Some radioactive elements do indeed decay slowly, but radiation levels after an explosion gradually decrease. There's a 7 to 10 rule. After 7 hours, radiation decreases by about 10 times. After 49 hours, by about 100 times. After that, the level continues to decrease. The first hours and days are the most dangerous. Many imagine a nuclear explosion as creating an eternal desert. But history shows that nature gradually returns even to heavily contaminated areas. The area around Chernobyl is now home to wolves, moose, wild boars, rare birds. This doesn't mean the area is completely safe, but this shows that radiation doesn't always turn a place into dead land forever. Myth 5. A nuclear war will destroy all of humanity. This is one of the most controversial issues. A full-scale war between the largest nuclear powers could indeed lead to a global catastrophe. But most scientists believe that humanity will not disappear completely. The main threat isn't just the explosions themselves. More dangerous could be economic collapse, famine, lack of health care, epidemics, cold, destruction of agriculture. There's a theory called nuclear winter. According to it, the massive amounts of smoke and ash left by massive fires could block out sunlight and dramatically lower the planet's temperature. If this happens, crop yields around the world would plummet. That's why the consequences of war could be more terrifying than the explosions themselves. Myth 6. A nuclear missile can't be stopped. Many believe that once a missile is launched, it's all over. In fact, there are missile defense systems. They attempt to detect the launch, calculate the trajectory, destroy the missile in flight. But the problem is that modern missiles are very complex, fly at incredible speed, can change direction, use decoys, split into multiple warheads. Therefore, no country has guaranteed protection. Even the most modern systems don't work perfectly. Myth 7. A nuclear briefcase is a doomsday button. Movies often show a red button that a country's leader can press at any moment. But real systems are much more complex. Launching strategic nuclear weapons typically requires confirmation, codes, communication between military structures, several procedures. This is done intentionally to reduce the risk of an accidental launch. However, history knows of dangerous cases when the world truly came very close to disaster. During the Cold War, there were several false alarms, computer errors, satellite malfunctions, faulty radar signals. In some cases, the world was literally saved by the decisions of individuals who didn't trust the system. Myth 8. A small nuclear war is not dangerous. Sometimes you hear the opinion, if the conflict is limited, nothing major will happen. But even a limited use of nuclear weapons can have enormous consequences. The problem is that no one knows how quickly a conflict will spiral out of control. One side responds to the other, then more strikes follow. Then the Allies join in, and a local war can turn into a global one. That's why even a small use of nuclear weapons is considered an extremely dangerous scenario. Myth 9. Modern bombs have become clean. It is sometimes said that modern technology has made nuclear weapons almost safe. This is not true. Even if certain types of warheads create less radioactive fallout, they still destroy cities, cause fires, create radiation, kill huge numbers of people. The term clean bomb is often very misleading. Myth 10. Once you see the flash, it's too late. Not always. During a nuclear explosion, a very bright flash appears first. The shock wave comes later. Sometimes the time between them is a few seconds, and at greater distances, even more than a minute. That's why civil defense instructions advised: lie down immediately, cover your head, turn away from the flash, seek shelter. Even a few seconds can save a life. Myth 11. A bunker guarantees survival. Many people think that any bunker automatically protects against all the consequences of war. But everything depends on depth, food supplies, air filtration, water, radiation levels around, time spent. Some bunkers are designed only for short-term shelter. Moreover, the main problem begins after leaving. Destroyed infrastructure, no electricity, chaos, lack of food and medicine. Myth 12. Nuclear weapons will never be used again. After 1945, nuclear weapons were not used in war, and many began to believe that humanity was too afraid of the consequences. But the risk still exists. The reasons can be varied: political crises, errors, accidental launches, technical failures, conflicts between countries. That is why the topic of nuclear weapons remains one of the most dangerous in the world.